What's up, everyone? Jason Delgado here. Uh, had to get on with the breaking news that Mike McDaniel is now the Chargers OC officially. We've been waiting for this. He's been doing some other interviews. He's been calling off some interviews. But this is what Charger fans wanted. We needed a creative OC, a guy who was going to make this offense explosive again, like Herbert's rookie year. And this is exactly what we needed for the offense. Miami was so great at having a quick game, which is what Herbert needs when the O-line isn't protecting him. You need a quick game, easy outlets. That's exactly what Mike McDaniel does. Besides the explosive plays, he schemes up Achan to get these, 60, 80-yard TD runs. Exactly what he's going to do with Omari and Hampton. The explosive plays down the field. This is every Charger fan's dream. We just have to get the defense right now. And you could easily talk Super Bowl if we have a strong defense again. We get a couple interior O linemen, and we're going to be looking for a different type of offensive lineman now. Bozeman will be gone. Mekhi Becton will be gone. You're going to be looking for guys who are a little bit lighter than what we've been used to, more athletic, So let's see. Oh, already getting some comments here. Sup, Jason? Bolt up from Las Vegas. Can't wait to salt my eggs with some Raider fan tears. Yep. Raider fans still going to be crying, man. Yeah. Man. Yeah, Raiders will be last again. Even if they get Mendoza, they'll still be last in the division. Yeah, we're not worried about the Raiders. Man, it's a great day to be a Charger fan. This really gives us hope. And after watching such a vanilla offense, only scoring 3 points against the Patriots, something had to be done. Kudos to Jim Harbaugh for firing his buddy Greg. I'm sure that wasn't easy to do, but he knew he had to do it. He knew he had to get Justin the help that he needs. We need a creative offense. We need, our receivers to be able to get open. We need a run game in the playoffs. These are all things Mike McDaniel brings us. So I can't wait to see it. You just got to keep that defense strong. Yeah, if we go for a DC in-house, I'd like Klingsdale. He's shown he's done great work with the cornerbacks, with the safeties. He was co-DC with Minter in Michigan, so I think Klink would be a great choice, and it keeps some continuality. It'd keep us, here. Hi, depressed Broncos fan here. Yeah, you're welcome here too. It's a tough loss for you guys. I'm sure you guys are thinking what would happen if you had Bo Nix, and that's just the way it goes. Charger fans know all too well about injuries in big games. Yeah, so you're welcome here, Broncos fans, everyone. But this is a great day for the Chargers. It's, man, it really shows that Harbaugh and Spanos and everyone is committed. Hey, what's up, Paul? Everyone's committed to winning because, Mike isn't a guy who is the typical Harbaugh kind of coach. He's a lot more creative with his offense. He likes to mix things up. He has a great run game, but that's not what he's all about, like Greg Roman was. And Greg had to change that this last year because he didn't have the kind of team to do what he wanted to do, you know? So Mike McDaniel is great with working with what he has. You know, he had a different kind of team in Miami. It was a lot of speed guys, a lot of fast guys, and McDaniel will adjust to the Chargers. You know, we might lose Davis Webb and or Vance Joseph. The Broncos. Yeah, that's tough if you lose some of those guys. I mean, your defense has been so strong. Uh, have you watched Stranger Things season 5, episode 8? Yeah, I've watched Stranger Things. You can check on my channel. I, I have a panel. The last panel the Duffer Brothers did for the final season of Stranger Things. You can watch that on there. But the Chargers, man, oh man, uh, you know the Chiefs are still going to be hurting next season. I know they say Mahomes is going to be ready. He's not by week 1. He's not going to be running around like he usually does, and that was his big weapon. You know, yeah, Broncos fan, our off season is going to be horrible. We'll just have to see. You know, yeah, it's really good. I love how well they did that. Yeah, yeah, great show. Um, Sorry, you guys have to excuse me. I'm trying to get over a cold here, but this Charger news is definitely brightening my day. You know, making me feel better when I'm sick. Um, Man, I mean, you think about Herbert's rookie year when he had 5,000 passing yards. You know, what was it? 36, 38 touchdowns, something like that. You know, that's something that's achievable when you give Herbert a line, when you give him a good OC. You know, uh, people, it's like people forget because they're used to Herbert having no O line, and this year he had to run a lot, scramble a lot. You know, and there's that whole thing. I've been seeing people say that Drake May, went through an easy schedule because he got through playoff Herbert. That kills me, man, to see people knock Herbert and call him playoff Herbert, that he like doesn't come to play or something. You know, he showed up in Jacksonville. The rest of the team let him down. Last 2 playoff games have not been great, but Mike McDaniel is going to show the world what Herbert really is again. You get him, you get him Lindenbaum at center or someone else. You get a right guard. Man, there's going to be no stopping this offense. Um, my only worry is, Harbaugh likes to hold on to the ball. He likes time of possession. He likes to run a lot. Will Mike McDaniel be able to slow up his offense a little bit? You don't want to. It's a funny problem to have if you are too explosive. Your defense is out there more often, and you can get into a track meet like those Miami teams would do sometimes. All right. The Chargers will go 10-7 next year. They'll make the playoffs and lose in the wild card. I disagree. I disagree. It is a tough schedule next year. People talked about how tough the schedule we had this year, and that's true. We had 11 wins, and we didn't have an O line. We're getting Joe Alt back. We're hopefully getting Rashawn Slater back. We're getting a new center. We're getting a new right guard. We're getting an explosive offense. So I'm going to say it right now. This Charger team can win 13 games next year and win the division. I really believe that. And if we win the AFC West and and the O-line is solid, I really think we're going to the Super Bowl next year, guys. I can really see it. You have a solid defense again, you know, uh, and then you improve the offense so much with Mike McDaniel and with just a few offensive linemen. This team's going to look completely different. Completely different. Oronde Gadsden is going to be huge. Mike McDaniel loves to use the tight end. We saw Darren Waller, who was out of football, uh, be so huge for Miami again. Oronde Gadsden has that athleticism, and he's going to be used a lot. So fantasy football, you want Gadsden, you want Omari Hampton, you want Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's going to be great. So this is the reason, for a lot of optimism. It would have been so crushing if, after that news that we got, before that McDaniel was probably going to come, and then you started seeing, oh, he's got other head coaching interviews. If he would have left for another team, if he would have left for the Raiders, Charger fans would have been devastated. They would have, but it's a happy day now. Just go get that DC next. You get the DC. Everyone in the Chargers know, they all know we need a center, a right guard. You're going to need another swing tackle because, God forbid, Rashawn Slater isn't 100%, or he or Alt go down again. You need a guy who's going to step in there. Trey Pipkins would step in there. It'd be nice to draft another guy who could do that. But man, this Charger team, like who's going to stop us? Who's going to stop us when we finally have a creative offense? When we're not running these simple fades at the goal line, in the playoffs. Man, and you got to think, do we possibly draft another receiver? Is Keenan Allen gone? Does he come back for one more year? Do you finally get Ladd McConkey involved in the offense again? He wasn't involved this past year. Yeah, boom, we got him signed. Yep. Huge news. Huge. Man, you can't overstate how huge this is for the Chargers, to finally have a guy who's going to put points on the board. Are we talking about football? Yeah, we're talking about football. Yeah. The link. What link are we talking about? Oh man. I play fat? what does that mean? 49ers? Yeah. Oh, Charger, you want the link to the yeah. Let's put up the link that the Chargers officially announced it. Let me find that for you guys, so you can see here. Oh yeah, it's up right now. Yeah, there's even a video. Let's get this up here. All right, bear with me, guys. All right, here we go.
So we're just like a quick intro, right? Everyone. That's our favorite plane we're on. Huh. This is gonna be bright. So we're just like a quick intro, right? Everything will be running on camera. you don't mind, this basically just
Yeah.
introduce yourself. I'm Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be a vape question, is it?
No vape question.
You know how you guys roll. All right. What's up? Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator for the Chargers.
Let's go, man. Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator for the Chargers. You saw it there, man. You saw it there. Oh, man. It gives me chills, guys. It gives me chills. Yep, flex. Let's go. Yeah, anyone you don't want to follow Minter to Baltimore, Clinkstale. I already said I think Clink would be a good choice for our next DC. So I hope Clink doesn't go to Baltimore. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. And then, do you guys have any outside choices for DC if we lose Clinkstale? Who would you want to be our next DC? There's a lot of different ways we can go, but Harbaugh has showed, he's willing to open his mind to do things differently, because Mike McDaniel, isn't the typical Harbaugh guy. A lot more explosive type of offense than Harbaugh is used to. So, man, and to see Mike, just focus on being an OC again, like he was, for the Niners. And so many of those Niners players, back when he was the OC, said that he was the real guy guiding that team. That he was the creative force there. If we can get Mike Tomlin out of retirement, Mike Tomlin. I have Steelers fans who don't love Mike, but that would be interesting. Create a super coaching staff. Yeah, man. Yeah, you get the right DC in there. And when is the last time the Chargers have had a staff that's this good, with Jim Harbaugh, with Mike McDaniel, and if you add one more great name as a DC, I think that could be the best Chargers staff ever. 2006, yeah, that was a good year. Yeah, tough in the playoffs, like always. Wade Phillips, Cam Cameron, and Marty. 2006, yep. Great staff. And I love Wade Phillips too. I reviewed a documentary about his dad, Love You Bum, about Bum Phillips. Great movie. Check that out if you want to know about the Phillips coaching tree and how much they did for football. Yeah, it's hey, bro. Man, what a time to be a Chargers fan, right? I mean, this is the best possible news we could get after that disappointing loss to the team that's going to the Super Bowl, the Patriots. And hey, you got to give the Patriots credit. Their defense has been great. Their offense hasn't really, but their defense has really been winning them games to get them to the Super Bowl. I think Mike really liked the cap room we have and the potential of everyone. Yeah, I mean, hey, this is a stacked team already, and we have over $100 million with even more money. If we cut Bozeman, if we cut Becton, and I believe we will. Which is what every Charger fan has been waiting for. So you're looking at 110, 120 million to spend. We do have a lot of guys to sign again in free agency. You want to bring Mac back if he'll come back for another year. There's a lot of free agents and a lot of guys we would sign for small deals. The first priority is you fix the line. You get Lindenbaum, you get or you get even a center that fits more of Mike McDaniel's offense, the smaller athletic center. Uh, Worried about Owe. I think Owe's coming back, guys. They know how big Owe was. Man, he set the Chargers record for sacks in the playoffs. Isn't that crazy? 3 sacks, and that's the most for a Chargers player in the playoffs ever. And Owe had 10 sacks after being traded from the Ravens. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I think there's no way they're letting Owe leave the building. He's got to come back. He's going to get a new deal, and it'll be worth it. So you got to pay guys like this, like Owe, like Mac. Sign some of these free agents. Tier Tart, bring him back. Yeah, we should have the most brutal O-line in the game, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, Alton, Slater are huge upgrades. If you get those guys back healthy, and I expect Alt will. Slater's going to do all that he can to come back. Just that kind of injury worries me a little bit, but having those 2 guys back is an instant, huge upgrade to protect Herbert's blind side alone. So he's not seeing ghosts, so he's not getting rocked like he was in that playoff game. Huge thing. And then you're going to upgrade the center and the right guard too. And, hopefully you're going to be able to pick up simple stunts. You're going to have a quick game like we had in the Steelers game. We were getting quick passes out and we killed the Steelers. And it's like Greg Roman forgot all about that. Well, Mike McDaniel specializes in the quick game, having Tua throw for 5,000 yards, with a quick game one year with a bad offensive line. So, did you meet Elizabeth Olsen? I did. I did meet Elizabeth Olsen. At LA Comic-Con. I told her that I love her in Marvel, but that I also love her in small indie movies like The Assessment. And she said, "Thank you for the support." Great girl. Yeah, I love Elizabeth Olsen. Just by having Mike players in Miami, heads are raised, like I can come through also. Yeah. I mean, oh, cool. You're Elizabeth Olsen fan too. Yeah, you gotta love her, man. Yeah, Wanda in Marvel, in the small indie in Eternity. She was great in Eternity. But let's get back to the Chargers, guys. I feel Reek kind of knew Mike was going to come in. Yeah. Yeah, he probably knew. I've seen some Charger fan pages say that we should bring Tyreek Hill in. I am not for that at all. Do not bring in Tyreek Hill. He had a devastating knee injury. He doesn't seem to be a good guy character-wise. And even before the injury, he seemed like he was done. He was cooked. He wasn't doing anything for Miami. And then you add the terrible injury, you add the questionable behavior. Yeah. And then on top of that, you got to make a trade and pay him 26, 28 million, something like that. No way, guys. I am not doing that deal. Yeah. I think we bring him in if he wants enough and he wants to win another Super Bowl. I just said I don't want Tyreek. Don't want him. I think he's washed. But yeah, you haven't met Elizabeth Olsen. Oh, well, stay on the lookout at these conventions, man. But at his price, no way. Yeah, you can't pay Tyreek 26 million after that knee injury, after he wasn't performing before that. Be insane. I know you guys are excited that we have a lot of cap space. This isn't like the Tom Telesco years where we're gonna pay a guy like, bring in a guy like J.C. Jackson, which turned out to be terrible. But we're not going to overspend for guys like that. I can see us paying for Lindenbaum, to get a great center like the Ravens center and solidify that position. Yeah, we'd pay a guy like that. But offense, I know people have talked about George Pickens coming. That would be exciting. Another head case. He's a great receiver, but would you know would the staff pay a lot of money for a wide receiver? We haven't seen it yet. Um, and they like to fill a lot of holes by giving guys low deals. Getting Dante Jackson at such a bargain deal. You like to find those bargain guys, and that's what the staff likes to do. Um, so with over 100 million, we can really change this team again. We only have 5 draft picks. That's the tough part. I wish we had more draft picks, and maybe we'll trade down and get more. 100%, but add to depth. Yeah, I mean, look, we could get another guy in at receiver, add depth. I really like what we have right now, though. We have Ladd. We forget what him being a number one receiver was like because he wasn't that this last season because he wasn't getting targets. He was still getting open. That kind of seems lost in this all that Ladd was still getting open, and he just wasn't getting the targets because the O-line wasn't blocking. Lindenbaum, definitely get Lindenbaum if he gets on the free. If the Ravens let him on the market without signing him, that's a no-brainer. You go get him, and then you're rocking and rolling with that line, man. Then you just draft a right guard and you're set. Then you're scoring 30 plus points a game again, like the old days, man. But yeah, who else would you guys like to see us sign? Taking into account that this team isn't going to go crazy in free agency, with huge free agent deals. That's just the way they've operated in the past, So that's how I expect them to operate now. Not going overboard, paying a guy, like the Chiefs paying Fulton, $20 million for last season, which was a terrible deal looking back in it because Clink has our corners playing so well that Fulton got $20 million from the Chiefs, man. Make that guy our DC, the guy that's getting 20 million, our guys $20 million deals. Who's your favorite Marvel character right now and why? Are we talking about MCU or the comic books or what? I gotta tell you, growing up reading the comic books, Iron Fist was my favorite character. The show did not do him justice, so I'd love to see an Iron Fist that that was done right. That's what I want to see. But I love Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man. That's Peter Parker. Yeah, gotta love him. But man, talk about an Avengers like staff. You get Mike McDaniel, you have Jim Harbaugh. These are two of the best, to ever do it in football. The best offensive minds. Yeah, Peter. Yep. But you get these two guys together, Harbaugh and McDaniel, and man, the sky is the limit, man. These guys know more football than, name a better offensive staff than McDaniel and Harbaugh together. Besides Oweh, linebacker Devin Lloyd, linebacker from the Jags. Yeah, you could do that. Linebacker is going to be an interesting position for the Chargers. Henley has been great. Perriman has been solid. He gets injured sometimes. He's getting up there in age. but then everyone forgets we have Junior Colston, and he hasn't played for 2 years. A lot of people, would consider him a bust, but I really want to see what Junior Colston could do if he's healthy next year. You put Junior and Deion Henley together, and Junior's still on that rookie deal. You could be solid right there, but I know that's a big if because we haven't seen Junior. So, yeah. Also, Kyle Pitts, tight end, due to 6'6", 250, should be nice. Yeah, Kyle Pitts has always had a ton of talent. He just hasn't been maximized in Atlanta. I know fantasy football managers have been frustrated with Kyle Pitts because he's been up and down. He's shown he has the talent. But yeah, you put Pitts with Rondé Gadsden. My only thing is I wonder if the Chargers would want two mainly offensive tight ends like that. We usually like to have a blocking tight end like Disley. But it could change with McDaniel now. It could change. Yeah. Who's your favorite character from DC Comics? Oh, yeah. I love the classics, but in the comics, I really love the Flash. Yeah, big Flash fan. Batman, of course. Everybody loves Batman. Superman. Yeah, all the classics. Big comic book guy. Yeah. So ever since I was a kid. But yeah, I loved comics like when the Flash would race Superman, and the Flash barely beat Superman in a race. Yeah. Barry Allen, the Crisis on Infinite Earths when Barry Allen dies. Yeah, great stuff. But man, yeah, you think about the possibilities on offense. If you add a guy like Kyle Pitts, then you have him and Gadsden with McDaniel, going to the tight end so much. Those guys would be unstoppable. And then you have, in Miami, Achane was so fast, and they would get him to the outside. I think Hampton has a lot of speed when he gets to the outside. You get him these creative schemes where you bounce Hampton to the outside, and he can be just as explosive as Achane. So, yeah, I think we need people to complement others on defense. Yeah, yeah. Look. We can definitely upgrade our defense too. Minter was so good at scheming things up and using that zone defense and disguising looks that and Klink got so much out of that secondary that Minter was able to do a lot with our players. Yeah. So yeah, you're going to need some more talent on defense, especially if the coaching isn't up to what Minter was doing. You're going to need to add more talent on defense. Yeah. But at least they have that experience in the system. And, if you bring Klink back, they'll have that familiarity that I think would be really cool. Who's your favorite actor? Just actor in general, or actor in the comic universe? That's a tough one. There's so many good actors. I really love Ethan Hawke, which is funny because I'm a critic and I vote in some of these film awards, and I voted for Indy the Dog over Ethan Hawke as best horror actor, and Indy the Dog won. So it's weird voting for a dog over your favorite actor, but it happened. Yeah. Yeah. Minter, man, the players love Minter. I think the players love Klink too. I think they do. I think that's why it'd be huge to bring, and hopefully, even if you don't make Klink the DC, hopefully you can bring him back. I know Minter's going to try to take him. I'd love for Klink to come back, because that secondary was so good. Um, yeah, um, man, there's so much potential with this Chargers team, and we saw with a bad O line, with a bad offense, winning 11 games. What do you think happens with a great O line? Hey, you're back, Paul. Hey, what's going on? But yeah, you fix that O line, and you have a great offense now. Um, who's going to beat us? It looks like the Patriots are the big team in the AFC now. They're going to the Super Bowl. They have a young team. I still think the Patriots are beatable. You get us an O line, we score some points. You can beat that team. Um, the toughest thing about the Patriots is that defense. And I guess they have some young up and coming, coaches on the defense that help them confuse the Chargers. So it'll be an interesting Super Bowl. Who do you guys have in the Super Bowl? Seahawks or Patriots? I'm pulling for the Seahawks, but I'm not going to count out the Patriots with that defense. Man, but and the Super Bowl is going to be at SoFi next season. Seahawks, yeah. Um, how crazy would that be for a Super Bowl at SoFi if it was Chargers versus Rams? What a game that would be. Yeah, Seahawks play insane. Yeah, yeah. The Seahawks are fun to watch. Sam Darnold, USC. You love him to see him have success after, people thinking he was a bust. Yeah, I'd love to see. I have a good feeling. Yeah, I have a good feeling about them too. But man, to see the Chargers and the Rams in the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium, it would be amazing. And people like to say that the NFL is scripted. Well, write that script then. That would be a fun script to see. There was a whole conspiracy thing. There was a graphic. Did you guys see the graphic where they put Darnold and Drake May in at the head of the thing, next to the Super Bowl? Yeah, Super Bowl at SoFi would be insane. Yeah, just think if the Chargers were in that thing, man. Home field advantage for a Super Bowl would be nuts. And there's always that thing where the Chargers, there's that old thing. The Chargers have no fans. That's not true. Not true. Tons of Charger fans. You just have to look back to the Texans game. I was at the last game of the season. 99% Charger fans. SoFi was packed. The loudest game at SoFi Stadium ever, including the Rams, and it was the Chargers making all the noise. And have the Chargers, or imagine the Giants, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh round two. Yeah, I don't see the Giants getting there that quickly. I know John Harbaugh will help turn around that team. To get to the Super Bowl in year one with that team, I mean, they have a great defense. They do. I guess if he can get that defense up to, the way the Patriots defense is, yeah, I guess it's possible. But yeah, the Chargers versus anybody, I would love to see it. Man, but yeah, I mentioned that graphic. Let me pull it up here to see what some fans have been saying with the conspiracy that the NFL is scripted. Let me show this to you guys. Let me bring it up. So yeah, this is the one that was back in September. The NFL put this up. There's the Super Bowl, all the players going to it, and it's hard to see. You got to squint, but in the very front is Drake May and Sam Darnold. Next to that Super Bowl trophy. So it's like, was that just a coincidence? I don't. What do you guys think? There's so many strange calls in the NFL. You can go back to last night. That taunting call that got the Rams back into the game. That for a guy talking to people, you let the Rams back in the game. They score a touchdown because the guy wants to talk some trash. Very weird stuff. You know, I don't know about these calls sometimes, to be honest. You have gambling in here. It's like, is it always on the up and up? That might be the odds. Well, I mean, this graphic was back in September. So were the odds that the Seahawks and Patriots were going to make it? I don't think so. The Patriots coming off that 3-win season. I know they had Grable, but let me let my dog in here. Come on, Mateo. Come on. Come here. Both teams were 60-1 to go to the Super Bowl. Wow, 60-1. That's crazy odds. So yeah, kind of weird to see both quarterbacks in the front of this graphic that was supposedly in September. Just adds fuel to the whole conspiracy thing. I would really like to think that the NFL is not rigged. You don't want to believe that, sport you love. But if it is, put Chargers and Rams. We'll come back. We'll come back to this if it's the Chargers and the Rams in the Super Bowl. We'll definitely have this discussion again. Yeah. Oh man, I just can't wait for next season. I'm always there at Chargers training camp at the Bolt. I always bring you the latest videos. You'll see all the highlights, all the big plays from training camp on my channel. I always put those up. You can see those in the shorts, and I just can't wait for it. I'm gonna have my second son in the next month, so it will be harder for me to get out to the Bolt for those. I'll have a little baby to watch after, so it's going to be harder. But I really hope I get to go out to training camp, to bring you guys all that content, because man, it's going to be so fun to see this team and this offense. Congrats! Thank you. Very excited. Second boy. I can't wait. It's exciting times, growing the family. The Chargers are getting even better. I can't wait. I hate betting in sports and how things are now. Yeah, sports betting has changed things. Here's my dog, Mateo. Yeah, sports betting definitely has changed things. You see a lot of questionable calls now. A lot more before the betting, before betting took place. So it adds a different element to things. It seems like refs try to keep teams in the game more, but whatever. Man, I just can't wait to see what this team is, and to finally, you think about what we could accomplish if we finally get a Super Bowl. we went to the Super Bowl in '95. I remember I was rooting for the Chargers back then. Junior Seau, Stan Humphries, Natrone Means Business, great team. Um, man, if we could finally win a Super Bowl, get the monkey off Herbert's back. Uh, Charger fans have suffered enough, and to see Mike McDaniel, come here, that's a huge step in the end to the Chargers suffering. To get the top offensive coach in the game. Um, man, it's you can't overstate how big that is for this franchise, for this team. It's gonna, the way our defense would keep us in every games, our offense is gonna do the same thing. And you put those things together, we do have to get our special teams right. Our special teams were an issue this past season. Do we stay, the course with our special teams? Do we get a new coach in at special teams? That'll be interesting to see. Ficken has been great in the past, but this past year we had a lot of issues. You saw it in that Texans game, the missed kicks, the bad punts. Yeah, it would be the most Charger thing ever to have a great offense and defense and a terrible special teams. It happened before. We had the number one offense, number one defense, and last in special teams, and we missed the playoffs that year. So, yeah, get it all right, and bolt up, guys. Just bolt up. Let me put my dog back up there. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, but closing thoughts. What are you guys' thoughts on, on this upcoming season? Do you guys think we have a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl if our defense is right and we fix that O-line? How are you guys feeling about it? Are you as optimistic as I am, or am I just going crazy here? Let me know. Man, what a time to be a Charger fan. What a time. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.